Okay, so we are going to do a yarn cursive sweatshirt. So I'm going to show you how I do this, and it is kind of a tricky process, so bear with me. All right, so first I gotta select it, and I have to rotate it. So it's already upside down, which is what I want. It says it's going to stitch in all different colors, but I want it to only do one color, so I'm going to indicate that I want it on all the same, number 2, which is my like golden color. So I'm going to do that after I have it on the machine. So I'm going to set it on the machine now. All right, so I have prepped this shirt, which means that I put on fusible no-show to the back of it, the inside of it, to stabilize the garment. And now I am just lining it up, making sure it's on this fast frame the way that it's supposed to be, which is so far so good. So what I do is I print out the designs now. It's not something I used to do, but I feel like it helps with seeing exactly where like that midpoint is. So then I can adjust where I need it to be. So I'm just lining it up to exactly the middle. And then I'm going to run the box, which the box just shows me how far it's going to go. So I know that I need to scoot it over a bit because I can feel and see that it is not quite, if I leave it how it is, it's going to hit the frame. So we do not want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the sweatshirt up and I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit. It's telling me to switch to a larger frame because it doesn't realize that this is a fast frame. So what you do is you just kind of lift it up and then keep your fingers crossed that it acknowledges that it's the right size. So I'm running the box again. Now I feel that it's not going to hit the frame, so that's a good thing. And then on this side, we're also good. We're far from the frame. We're good down here, making sure it's not underneath it. And then I'm going to tell the machine that I want to just use the color number 2, which is my golden. So I'm going to, I'll move you over here so you can see. Okay, so the way you do that is you press this button, and then we're going to say 2, and then we're going to press that one. So now it's going to be all in thread color 2. Okay, this is why it's important then to make sure that you are paying attention and pausing the machine constantly. So I will be standing here the whole time. So for this, I use this yarn. It's a very thick, chunky yarn. And what it does first, I just let it kind of fall to the floor, and I'm going to lock and go ahead with the K. So first it will stitch the letter, the full letter, and then you can see where to place the yarn. After it stitches the letter, it will come back around and it's going to do a section by section. So let me see if it can even show you this from over here. So it's just doing the K now, and then it's going to do the full letter. So what I'm going to do now is pause it. So I pause, and you can see here, now it's just going to do a portion. So it's just going to do this first little loop. So that's where this gets tricky. So now what I have to do, let me see if I can, I'm going to try to zoom in, but move it like that. I think you'll be able to see what I'm doing. I like to use these tongs I feel, or they're like extra large tweezers. I feel like it, oops, we're trying to find me, I think. Oh, hi. Yes, there we are. Okay. No, I got to turn this off. So I like to, come on. I like to use these tongs. I feel like they keep me from potentially impaling myself. So I'm going to put you back down here and hopefully, come on. I want you to go there and there you go. Okay. Oop. So hopefully you'll be able to see this. So I'm going to leave longer than necessary this tail. And I'm going to just say start. And it can be a little nerve-wracking for sure. Then it stops at a certain point. That will probably actually be it. It's gonna, yep. So now I had time to loop it down here. So it's gonna go all the way down to the bottom. I think you can see my arm was in the way. So we're gonna go, I'm just holding it in place. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pause it because I don't want it to be extra chunky here. This yarn is already very thick, so I don't want it to be any more chunky. Let's see if you can see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut more than I need at that end and just leave it down there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here like this. So I'm just sort of piecing it together, if that makes sense. So I'll press start, just like this. This is a font that I have. It's called Yarn. I think I saved it to be Yarn font. So it's not, I'm going to pause it again. This time I don't feel like I need to cut it. I'm just going to bring it down here like this. But I can have it say any word I want, which is nice. It doesn't have to be, it's not like a design that I bought that said nights. It can be any word. What you want. And you sort of just like kind of let it follow that way. So then I cut the tail longer than I need. Now it's going to go in with the in. It's going to do the full in. So I'm just going to move this out of the way. And we go on from there. So this is a long process for sure. But it makes for a really cool result. So that's why I like it. Okay, so now I have, it's going to start at the top for the end. So I'm just going to hold this here like that. Let it stitch down. And I'm going to cut it again because I feel like if I didn't, it would be too chunky layering over the end again. So what I'm going to do is kind of have it, it's going to want to come back up that line, and I'm just going to hold it here to attach once it does. Hopefully you can see what I mean. So I can feel it's grabbing it. And now it's going to go down and back up. So this part, I'm out of the way enough to not feel like I'm going to get gonna get got. And then you bring it back up this way, just like that. So once you get the hang of it, it's not quite as intimidating, but certainly the first couple times, you just don't have a ton of space to work with, which makes it a little bit, you know, nerve-wracking. So this is actually going to connect to the eye, so I'm going to let it go for it. It's going to go down and come around. I'm not going to hold it there, I'm just letting it see it. But then I don't want it to get the top of the eye, so I'm going to move this out of the way for that. Okay, so it's going to stitch down again. I think I'm out of bobbin. I felt like I heard it. Nope, I just have to redo it. All right, put that back in there. No problem. Okay. Oop. Okay. I'm going to, let's see. I'm actually going to cut this because I don't want it to be, again, I don't want it to be too chunky. And I'm going to let this cut like that. And I'm going to layer this on top, just at the bottom. So. Nope. I think it came out from somewhere. Trial and error, friends. Sometimes this is how it goes. All right, so I see that this is threaded properly, but it's not catching the bobbin. So what that tells me is that either the bobbin is a dud, which I don't think that it is because I've used it. Sometimes all you have to do is just pull a little bit more out and go again. So here we go. We're going to back up a little bit. Okay. Don't want to get too close. Don't want to be crazy. All right. I think that's it. Got it now. All right. Bring it up here. So many things are happening. Okay. Much better. So now it is going to want to sew the dot of the eye. So what I'm going to do, when I pulled that thread, I had some extra. So I'm going to trim that first. All right, make sure this stuff is out of the way. So remember that long tail that I had from the K right here? I know that this is probably like the worst possible view, and I'm going to shift where you are in just a second. I took some of that, and all you need is a little bit for this eye. And so I'm just going to hold it as well as I can until it starts to stitch it down, and then I'm going to let go and it'll catch it just like that. So now it's doing what it needs to do. And you know, the nice part about all of this is that this is a very forgiving yarn because it's so fluffy that yeah, it's easy to work with, and you don't actually see too many imperfections, especially if you're using the same color of thread. But the thread really does get camouflaged because I use the same color. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second and find a better stand so that you can really see better for the rest of the letters. So we have G, H, T, S left. Okay, I'm hopeful with the new angle. So now it's going to stitch the G so we know placement wise where that's going. And the G's really only going to touch up against the I a little bit, so it's not that big of a deal. All right. So I'm going to snip it completely here, like that. And we make all of this much cleaner later on. So that's why I'm not really concerned about it at the moment. I am concerned about where my tweezers, oh, there they are. Okay. So you see where it shows me where the G is going. So it's going to do exactly what it did in order. So it's going to grab it there. And then it's just doing like the main first loop of this G. Just like that. And it's going to cut and I'm going to move. So now I'm over here to bring it back up there. And then afterward, when I'm cleaning it up, it'll look more legible. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna snip again because I could bring it down and overlap, but again, it's so chunky that we don't need all this extra. All right, so I'm just gonna place it about there. And let it grab it. I feel it hitting the tweezers, and I'm so grateful that it is not my fingers. So then I just kind of like make it go that way a little bit, and then it'll stitch, and I'll just kind of guide it. Okay, now it's going to do the H. So I think last time I let it kind of just go for the H because it felt more natural to do it this way. Oh, I missed it, and that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna snip this top part of the G off because I don't need it. And it caught a little bit of the H. I was making sure that I was still recording because I had a panic that I wasn't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it come up to here, and then I'm going to put the yarn back on. So it'll do this little curve right up to where I am. Just tack it down again. Now it's going to go down this way. So I'm just going to let it carry on. it went all the way down to the bottom of the H. So at this point, I am going to snip it again because I don't need to go over it. I'm going to just do my other trick like I said before and catch it once it's like about here. So it will blend in fine. It'll be all good. Pull it back out like that. So the H goes right into the T, and I'm just going to get it out of the way so that that can do the placement, because as we all just saw, sometimes I have a hard time guessing. So all it is just from there to there. So what I'm going to do, oh, and it's going to do the cross to cross the T. But what I'm going to do is cut this, and I'm just going to have a little piece to make that easier for me. So snip this, pause it. All right. So then we're gonna have it here, and I'm gonna make it a longer tail than I need to so that I'm fully out of the way. Almost done. We're on T. Such a good feeling. Like I said, while this is not that difficult, it's also, I mean, it isn't the easiest thing I've done. You certainly can't walk away from this. Very hands-on, but it's worth it because you get to accomplish this really cute style, which has been pretty popular lately. And again, I can do any words within reason. So I'm going to pause it. It's going to go up there. Let's see, we're going to S next. So yeah, I'm going to cut this like that. I have some leftover yarn from my other one that I did, so I'm just going to let that one be my cross of my T. I could do game day. I could do whatever your mascot is. So pretty fun. You can even do like a name. My only limitation is that my largest hoop is max is about 12 inches. So this one, for instance, is 11. It says 11.45 inches is as wide as this design is. So actually, I need to cut that a little bit because I don't want it to interfere. So it just can't be like a super long name, or it would have to be smaller. So the S is tricky. What we're going to do, the first part is this loop right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to piece together a lot of little scraps of the yarn for the S. Because we have this big loop of it, we don't need to go crazy. So I'm just going to let this kind of be what we're using. And I feel that I'm not catching it, so I'm going to do that one again. I just go back, and it'll do it again. I'm gonna snip this first. Snip the thread so it's not too tight. Okay. Okay. Next, it's going to sew down here, I believe. So we can still use the same scrap. Make sure we're far out of the way. Couldn't get it. Okay. And then it's going to come back up here. So we're going to let it stitch back up, but then I'm just going to let it go over this, and I'm going to catch it for this little piece right there, that little tail that wants to come off. So again, I'm just going to use a little piece just like this. So it'll be ready there for it once it comes back up, if that makes sense. Okay, here we go. It's going to come around again. Gotcha. All right. There we go. And so at this point, it looks like a whole bunch of nothing, basically. And I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so I'm just going to take it off of the machine and I'm going to take it to my table. Okay, so at this point, it just kind of looks like a bunch of yarn. I mean, you can kind of make out that it's supposed to say nights, I guess, if you're using your imagination. But we are going to clean it up so that it's far more legible. So I'm going to try and get you over here. Okay, I have this new stand that Dylan and I got. It's kind of like the Insta360, kind of, but it's not with that camera. You just use your iPhone, and it's neat because it's got this like tracking feature, and I didn't even have to like download anything. It's just how it goes. So what I'm doing is just cleaning up all the tails that I have. Then I'm going to go back in and like clean it up a little bit closer. I am resisting the urge to drop all of this yarn on my carpet because that's usually how I operate, but I'm trying to stay clean, you know. Be smart. Work smarter, not harder. So there's our little eye. I can make this a little bit closer. I think I may actually use my smaller scissors just to get in there. So anything I can like, I even thought about like using a little razor to like shave it, but I don't think that's necessary. I don't want to go like too close. I'm just like, you still want it to be shaggy because that's the look, but you want it to be legible. So, okay, I'll get that too. Okay. The nice thing is you can't like really mess it up too much, which is good. And I know that some people will have a question about how does it wash. It does pretty good. I have washed a couple different sweatshirts that I have this on, and they do good. They wash pretty well. All right, so I'm gonna get my little lint roller. I feel like this helps a little bit, just get like the extra fuzzes that are still on the letters. Okay, just like that. And there it is. So we are, zoom out a little bit. We are ready for homecoming. What I'm going to do next is tear it off the frame. I'm going to get a lot of, oh, by the way, this is what I'm talking about when I say, so this frame is 12 by 7, and that's about, I mean, that is as the max that my machine can do. So as far as names go, you know, it'll depend on what's possible based on how the size and everything. But there is always the option to use a fuzzy yarn, another kind of fuzzy yarn that isn't quite as fuzzy, if that makes any sense. So I am going to tear this off, and I'm going to trim up the fusible no-show. This is something that I haven't done on the other sweatshirt that I've already made. And then it will be ready to go in their closets. So thanks for joining, and I hope that you learned something or enjoyed this video.